Chapter 40. Ma stood by the window as the stars began to poke holes in the deep blue velvet sky. The days without Minley had passed slowly, and the evenings even slower. Ma wondered how the silver goldfish could remain calm in the bowl, while she herself felt she could barely breathe. As the night air touched her face, Ma thought of Minley, bit her lip, and sighed. Her eyes closed as she willed her tears to stop forming. When she opened her eyes, Ba was standing next to her. "I know," he said to her, and he placed his hand over hers. "It is hard to wait," Ma said. "Yes," Ba said. "We are like the dragon waiting for a sign of his pearl." "The dragon waiting?" Ma asked. "Oh, nothing," Ba said. "It's just a story." The wind blew gently, like the calming touch of a healer. "I wouldn't mind hearing it," Ma said. "It might make the time pass faster." Ba looked at her, surprised, and then nodded with a small smile. The story of the dragon's pearl. Once a dragon found a large white stone, round and softened by the ocean and wind. As he admired it, it began to shine in his hands. "How pretty," he thought. "I will make this into a pearl." So day after day, month after month, for many years, the dragon went without eating and sleeping as he made the pearl. He carved the stone with his claws and smoothed it with his scales. He carried it into the clouds, rolled it in fresh raindrops, and bathed it in the celestial river. He polished it with pale chrysanthemum petals. Finally, it was done, perfectly round and luminously smooth. It was flawless and beautiful. As the dragon looked at it, a tear of exhaustion and joy fell from his eye and landed on the pearl. As the teardrops soaked into the pearl, it began to shine with a dazzling radiance. The dragon smiled with delight. Exhausted, he fell asleep in the light of the pearl. But the pearl continued to glow. The light was so lovely that it caught the attention of the Queen Mother of the heavens. When she found out that the brightness came from the dragon's wondrous pearl, she sent 2 of her servants to steal it. The servants were able to accomplish this quite easily, as the dragon, weary from his many years of work, slept quite loudly and soundly. When the Queen Mother received the pearl, even she was astonished by its loveliness. No pearl, no jewel, no treasure in the heavens or on earth could compare. She quickly had a vault made in the deepest part of her kingdom that one could only get to by going through 9 locked doors. She put the pearl in the chamber and tied the 9 keys to the doors onto her belt. When the dragon woke and found his pearl missing, he began a frantic search. He hunted the oceans and mountains, the rivers and valleys. He flew through the celestial river, examining each star, but none gave the pure, clear light of his pearl. Eventually, the dragon was forced to give up his search. He had no idea where to look or where the pearl could be. But he did not give up hope that he would find it. Instead, he waited for a sign of it. And he did not wait in vain. On her birthday, the Queen Mother had a grand celebration, inviting all the immortals of heaven. She held a banquet of peaches, an endless assortment of rich and delicious dishes made from the peaches of immortality. Fragrant and potent peach wine was served with each dish, and every time her glass was low, the Queen Mother called for more. So when the guests heralded her with compliments, flattery, and fine gifts, the Queen Mother recklessly decided to show off her stolen treasure. "My dear friends," she said impetuously, "your gifts and words are fine, indeed, but I have something that far outshines them." And she took her 9 keys, unlocked the 9 doors, and brought out the dragon's pearl. A hush went over the party as the pearl glowed with a light of such radiance that it flooded out of the palace and into all the heavens. As the light broke into the sky, the dragon, ever faithfully alert, jerked up his head. "My pearl," he said, and flew as fast as he could toward the light. When the dragon reached the Queen Mother's palace, he burst upon a crowd of admiring immortals, fawning over the pearl in the hand of the Queen Mother, pompous with pride. "That is my pearl," he cried. "Give it back." The Queen Mother was infuriated. "This is my pearl," she declared. "How dare you?" "It's mine," the dragon said, and looking at the flush of her cheeks and invading eyes, demanded, "You stole it, didn't you?" "I don't need to steal anything," the Queen Mother blustered. "I am the Queen of the Mother of Heavens. All treasures made by the earth or heaven belong to me." "Heaven did not make that pearl," the dragon said, "nor the earth. I made it with years of work and effort. It is mine." The Queen Mother began to panic, and she fled out of the palace and into the garden, clutching the pearl. The dragon pursued her, determined not to lose the pearl again. The party guests followed, creating such a commotion of excitement and chaos that the heavenly grandfather, who tended to avoid his daughter's flamboyant parties, decided to leave his study to investigate the disturbance. The Queen Mother, flustered and agitated, ran through the garden, leading a great chase. As she reached the garden wall and could not run any further, she was horrified to see not only the dragon and her party guests, but also her father coming after her. As they reached her in a fit of terror, she threw the pearl over the wall. The dragon gave a roar of dismay, and all rushed to look over the garden wall to see the pearl fall deep into the celestial river. In the deep blue water that separated heaven and earth, the pearl seemed to grow larger and grow more radiantly. The dragon began to make movements to dive into the river when the heavenly grandfather stopped him. "Leave it there," he said, "and shame on you both. The pearl should not belong to one being. Do you not see this is where the pearl belongs, where everyone on heaven and earth can see its beauty and enjoy it?" Both the dragon and the Queen Mother humbled, nodded, and the guests praised the heavenly grandfather's wisdom. And so did the people on earth, for now they looked up into the sky. The moon glowed down upon them. There was a peaceful silence after Bob finished the story. Finally, Ma gave a small sigh and a smile. "If Millie were here, she would ask you if that story were true." "And I would have to tell her probably not," Bob said. "When I was a very young boy, I remember seeing a glimpse of a rare dragon pearl. It was being carried to the emperor himself, guarded by hundreds of men, and there was still a moon in the sky." "There is more than one pearl in the ocean," the fish said. "So of course there is more than one dragon pearl, though the dragon pearl that makes the moon is by far the largest." Bob glanced carefully at the fish and then at Ma, but both seemed ignorant of the other, and neither looked at him. "I remember hearing about that," Ma said. "That pearl was supposed to be worth the emperor's entire fortune. A single pearl. I suppose it could have belonged to a dragon." She spoke without the desire or envy she used to feel when speaking of the wealth of others. The moonlight seemed to transform her, lifting the years of bitterness and hardship and leaving her with a sad serenity. It affected Bob unexpectedly in a way he had not felt in years. He filled with great tenderness. But Ma continued to stare dreamily out of the window, as unaware of his thoughts as she was of the fish's words. "It must be a bridge to the top of Never-Ending Mountain," Dragon said, "and to the Old Man of the Moon." With the bamboo attached bamboo stakes, Minley and the dragon had anchored their end of the bridge to the ground. As it stretched into the night, it quivered in the moonlight. Minley stared at the vast length of the bridge, hanging in the sky like a delicate red spider web. I don't think you will be able to cross it, Minley said. Dragon, too, looked at the U-shaped bridge with its fragile ropes. I cannot fit on it, he said, and I doubt it will bear my weight. Well, Minley said, maybe it is magic like the thread. Try. Dragon put one foot onto the rope bridge, but as the rope felt his mass, it groaned and the bamboo stakes began to tear out of the ground. Hurriedly, Dragon stepped off. I think, Dragon said slowly, I am not destined to see the old man of the moon. Minnie looked at the dragon's downcast eyes and read the years of sadness and frustration in his face. Tears burned in her eyes as she thought about their long travels that had led to this disappointment. I wish I could fly, the dragon said simply. You will, Minley said, blinking her tears away. The bridge is big and strong enough for me. I'll ask the old man of the moon your question and return. Dragon brightened with hope. You will? He asked. You will do that? Minley nodded. I will wait for you here, Dragon said. I will not move until you return. When you tell me what he says, I will fly you back home to your family. Then I better get going, Minley said, but her smile faded as she looked at the bridge in front of her that seemed to loom into nothingness. I will wait for you here, Dragon repeated. Minley nodded and took a deep breath. Then, grasping the two side ropes for balance, she carefully stepped onto the rope bridge and began to walk. The sky around Minley was quiet as she walked on the red rope bridge. The only sounds she heard were those of her own breathing and the pounding of her heart in her chest. After the dragon and the land had faded from view, Minley saw nothing except for the night around her. With such a limitless landscape, she could not tell how far she had walked or how much of the bridge she had left. It seemed never-ending. She began to wonder if she had walked for hours or days. But slowly, so slowly, Minley almost didn't notice it. The darkness of the night lessened. With each step she took, the world around her became brighter. And with this light, Minley saw that the sky below her had somehow become a vast lake of pure water, and the night clouds were made of floating lilies. And stretched before her in the distance, like a faraway coast, she saw a high wall that seemed to glow. The wall was smooth and creamy white, as if made out of pearl. It too seemed to be endless. Minley could not see where it began or ended. However, as Minley got closer, she saw a round opening in the wall just before her. And in that circular passageway, a white rabbit stood like a jade statue. It was only when Minley stepped off the bridge and the rabbit started toward her that Minley realized that it was alive. Welcome, the rabbit said. You're a little late. Did you have trouble with the monkeys? Minley was too astonished to speak. The rabbit looked extremely like the one painted on her blue rice bowl. She nodded with her mouth gaping. Well, let's go, the rabbit said. You're going to have to keep it short with the old man. He's very busy and he hates unnecessary talk. Minley followed the rabbit through the round opening into a white courtyard and over a polished stone bridge that seemed to grow from the ground. As they passed over it, Minley saw the smooth water wave with gentle ripples and heard what sounded like faint drumming. To one side of her in the distance, standing out against the flat landscape, Minley saw the silhouette of a man cutting down a lone tree, his axe making a thumping rhythm. As he chopped, the branches of the tree shook, Leaves, blossoms, and seeds flew through the air and dropped into the water like raindrops. Is that the old man of the moon? Minley asked. The rabbit said, following Minley's gaze. Oh, no, that's Wu Kang. Why is he cutting down the tree? Minley asked. It seemed a shame to her that the only tree on Never-Ending Mountain was being cut down. Questions, questions, the rabbit said. I should make you wait to ask the old man, but if you must know, Wu Kang tries to cut down that tree every night. Every night? Minley couldn't help asking. Yes, the rabbit said. The story of Wu Kang. Most thought Wu Kang was very lucky. His wife was beautiful, and his children were healthy, and they all lived in comfort in a comfortable cottage on a farm in the country. His parents and elder brother lived with him, and his neighbors were faithful friends. But Wu Kang always wanted more. So when his crops thrived and flourished, he decided farming was not satisfying enough for him. And the day he reaped his successful harvest, he told his friends that he was leaving the countryside to move to town. Why? They asked him. I want more, Wu Kang said. But we are so happy here all together, they said. It is not enough, Wu Kang said. So he packed up his possessions and sold his cottage, farm, and land. Then, with his wife, children, parents, and brother, he moved to town. It was crowded. And his parents, and inconvenient in the smaller house, but Wu Kang was able to apprentice himself to a furniture maker, and his family began to adapt to their cramped home. However, the day he was able to carve a chair from beechwood was the day he quit and decided to move to the city. Why? His parents asked him. I want more, Wu Kang said. But we are happy here together, they said. It is not enough, Wu Kang said. So with his wife and children walking behind him, Wu Kang left his parents and brother behind and moved to the city to search for something more. Their new home was a small hut of earth squeezed between other tumble-down houses on a filthy street, far away from the tight, cozy house in the town or the comfortable cottage on the farm. Nonetheless, his wife and children adjusted to life in the city while Wu Kang looked for satisfaction. But still, nothing was enough for him. After mastering the abacus, Wu Kang decided to quit the training to be a storekeeper. After learning how to hold a paintbrush, he stopped studying for a government position. Wu Kang always wanted more. Maybe you should try to become an immortal, his young son said to him. You couldn't want more than that. I think, Wu Kang said, perhaps you are right. So Wu Kang packed up a small bag and left his wife and children to find an immortal to study under. His heartbroken wife pleaded with him as he stepped out the door. Don't leave, she said. Here we are together. It is not enough, Wu Kang said. Wu Kang searched and traveled far and long, and one night he found the old man of the moon. At last, Wu Kang said, an immortal. Master, will you teach me? The old man of the moon preferred to decline, but Wu Kang insisted and begged. So with misgivings, the old man agreed and brought Wu Kang to Never-Ending Mountain. So the old man began to teach Wu Kang lessons. Full of wonder that common men could marvel at. However, Wu Kang, true to his nature, was unmoved and aspired for more. When the old man showed him how to obtain red threads from his granddaughter, the goddess of weaving, traveling across the sea of stars on a bridge of night birds, Wu Kang watched and followed, but after 3 days was discontent. Master, Wu Kang said, there must be something more you can teach me. So the old man taught Wu Kang how to tie the threads of destiny, sealing the knots with the shaft of light from the moon. Wu Kang studied and copied, but after 2 days, he again grew restless. Master, Wu Kang said, I know you can teach me more. Hence, the old man took out the sacred book of fortune and began to teach Wu Kang how to read its text. But after 1 day, Wu Kang exclaimed, there must be more than this. With that, the old man clapped the book shut. Yes, the old man agreed, there is. Without a word, the old man led Wu Kang to a barren area of never-ending mountain. The old man knocked the ground with his walking stick, and from the rock a silver tree grew. As Wu Kang stared, the old man tied a string of destiny around him and the tree. The only things for me to teach you, the old man said to Wu Kang as he handed him an axe, are the lessons of contentment and patience. Only when you are able to cut this tree down will I know you have learned them. Wu Kang shrugged and began in earnest to chop down the tree. Little did he realize that with every cut, the tree grew back, and every blow could only scatter the seeds from the tree into the night sky lake. So every night, Wu Kang cuts the tree. Tied by the string of destiny, he cannot leave it, and is fated to chop until he learns his lesson or until the end of time. Minli walked silently after the rabbit finished the story. And for a while, the only sounds were of the tree's flying seeds falling into the water. Those seeds, Minli said to herself, they are really falling through the sky to the earth. They are the seeds that fall into Moon Rain Village. It is Wu Kang's chopping that makes the strange moon rain. The flowering trees grow from the seeds from the tree on Never-Ending Mountain. But just then Minli's thoughts were interrupted by the rabbit, which had stopped suddenly. In there, the rabbit said, motioning toward a circular opening through a stone wall, is the old man of the moon.